Alright, what we're looking at right now is my hammock peapod cocoon, and this is the exterior shell that will actually go over my hammock. And it kind of looks like it'd be a hammock, but the hammock's not in it right now because it's hanging up in my dining room just for this video, so I can kind of show everyone what some of the features are on this thing. Now this is handmade, and it's made out of camouflage parachute material, nylon, and then it's got an inner lining of satin, and it's got a zipper down the middle, which we'll take a look at here. There is the zipper. It's about 3 feet long, and it comes down to this little junction right here, and that's actually not watertight. This is waterproof fabric, and I did use seam sealer along all the seams except for the zipper, because if I ever have to undo the zipper, I can just cut out these stitches, put in a new zipper if it breaks or something. So I left that without seam sealer, but everywhere else does have seam sealer. Now this isn't really meant to be a a rainproof type deal, because you would still want a tarp or a fly on top of it, which I do have. I use a Grand Trunk hammock. And you want to put up a ridge line up here, and use a tarp or a fly if it starts raining. Although I have to say that by looking at the shape of it, the rain should run down off the sides and not really run back up into this hole. It's possible it could get through some of the zipper stitching, I don't know. But to be safe, I would recommend, if it's raining hard, to use a fly or a tarp. Although I have a feeling you could probably get away with not using one if you're under some trees and probably be okay. The only thing about it is, since it is waterproof, and I think the inner material is pretty waterproof too, if water did get in there, it wouldn't really absorb in the sides and dry out. It would just pool in the bottom and get anything in there wet. Although I guess you wouldn't be in the bottom, so it probably wouldn't be too bad because you'd be in the hammock. And, well, yeah, if it got just in the peapod, you'd be okay because you're not touching the very bottom of that. But it's possible it could leak through the top into the hammock. But if there was like a crosswind and it was getting the sides of it wet, you'd be okay because it's waterproof. So, but the main reason for this whole thing is for heat, to protect you from cold and wind. That's the main thing. So it's not really for rain protection, it's more for cold and wind chill protection. We'll go over to the ends here, take a look at how I got those set up. Now this is rigged very delicately to the wall, so that's just hanging by a thread on that screw. But there's two, you can see them here. Let's see, this is actually open, and there's two separate, see the space there? So there's two of those little loops. You can put rope through there or whatever you want. What you'd want to do is put the hammock through. The hammock line would be coming out of here, and then you can use a separate line to secure these to the tree straps or whatever. And then you could even, if you wanted to, you could cinch this down piece of cord real tight, and then that would actually should be pretty waterproof. You'd want to have a little drip line up here so water could drip down. But and if you wanted ventilation, I don't know how the ventilation will be. You don't want condensation inside, so you can always leave it open and give yourself a little bit of air. This thing is, it's pretty much like rubberized fabric, so it's gonna hold a lot of heat. So you may be able to get away with a little bit of ventilation there, which would be nice. And the other end is the exact same way. Take a look at that bad boy, got a little trucker's loop there. You can see the stitching, that's all. I used fabric glue on these. seam sealer on the inner seams. There's a seam that runs right here. It's kind of a little off center because it's, number one, it's not perfect, but number two, there's not a hammock in it, so it's just kind of wherever the rope is centering it, it's where it's hanging. Alright, so the other main feature of this puppy is the face flap or hole or whatever you want to call this thing. So you can't really see it, partially because of the video, but that's actually a flap. It opens up. You can see this kind of copper burgundy colored silk satiny material. It's real soft to the touch. It's pretty nice. So that opens up all the way, and that reveals a hole here, which is where your head would go. And of course that's where the zipper is. We can open that up. So it's, it's real, it looks real nice on the inside. But so there's about probably, I don't know, 1.5 feet, a little more of opening for your head, which is a lot of space. Obviously once the hammock's in here, this will all be kind of pushed down. And what's nice about this flap, it's got little loops on it, which you can see right here. And then even over on the top, got another loop there. And then on the other side of that is a loop too, on the inside. So what that's going to do is if you want to roll it up, and then you can take like a little beaner or something, or even a piece of rope, and just, you can tie these 2 little loops, one on this side too. So you tie those together, and then your flap can be open, won't be falling in your face. You can also do a half flap, so you can take it, fold it. That's going to give you about halfway, half the ventilation, or if you want the camo side showing, you can fold it inwards. Be a little more waterproof, I guess. And even if, if it gets real cold or real rainy or something, or if it was like snowing, because you could get away with just this in snow, because the snow is not going to get in the way rain might. And you can close it all the way. There's still going to be, a little bit of airflow in there. And it should be pretty close to your head and your face once you're in there. But with the hammock and everything, you'll have a little bit of a gap, so you should be okay. It's not going to be like resting like right on your nose. And even if it did, you would just open the flap and your head would be exposed. So you'd be fine with that. And the zipper's kind of made, it's a cheap zipper. So that's why I might replace it one day. So there's not an actual tab on the inside to pull. So you kind of have to awkwardly stick your hand out and kind of pull it shut, and you still have enough room to open and close it, but it's not ideal in that respect. And if you wanted, you could always leave it, all the way unzipped, and it's still going to give you good protection. Now it's a lot bigger. It's really wide. The whole thing is actually in the shape of a 9-foot football. So it's probably about 9 feet long and about 5 feet wide. So this is kind of interesting when we look at the shape here. Now it looks kind of flat, but you'll actually see like a taco type thing happening here. The flaps are hanging down on the sides there. It's kind of hard to see. And when the hammock's in it and there's weight, there's more of a gap in there. So, you'd have more space. The sides aren't going to be touching or anything. But what's interesting is that the bottom of this thing goes all the way up to the top. It's not drooping down, even though this is one giant like oval football shape, because it's got this arc and the bottom is being pulled by the line. Because this is the bottom of it right here that you're seeing. This piece right here, that's the actual bottom. So it's not drooping all the way down, you know, hanging all the way down here. It's coming all the way up to the top. So when you're in it, that's going to be the part right under your hammock. So that's another layer. This is 2-ply, you know, it's 2 pieces of material. So you're going to have your hammock layer and then this layer underneath you. And on top of that, you've got these extra side layers. Not only will that all be sealed on the inside, but you've got these side flaps that are hanging over the sides, blocking, you know, any wind that would come into here. And that's on both sides. So ideally you'd want to have it to where the wind's blowing crossways and not, you know, blowing, you know, straight down the entire thing. That way you don't get any underdraft under there, because that's going to be your main thing, is the wind blowing on you and wicking off all your heat. And I haven't really had a chance, because it's summer, to test this, so I don't really know, you know, once you get in it, how warm it's going to be. Oh wow, it does look really nice right there with that nice red liner. You know, I don't know how warm it's going to be yet. I have a feeling it's going to be pretty darn warm. It doesn't have an inner liner of like polyester or cotton or anything. So, you know, it's not going to have that thick insulation. I'm mainly just going for the fact that it's a synthetic material and it's going to keep a lot of heat that way. And the reason I didn't go with the insulation is because the thing would be so bulky. It's 9 feet long. I'd have to get like something like 12 yards of insulation or something. I don't want to do that. It's probably about 2 pounds of fabric, and it folds up to about the shape of a folded American flag. So it can fit nicely with the hammock in my pack if I want to go camping or backpacking. And it works out real nice. So, you know, I'll have to obviously try it out in the winter and see how well it works, but I think I've got everything pretty much down as far as, you know, what you'd want out of a cocoon like this to, you know, keep water and cold off of you. So that's it for now, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks.